I hate Apple Watches. I've always hated them. I thought they were stupid. I thought people just wore them as like a status symbol to like, look, I have an Apple product on my wrist now. So I got one. And so far, I've loved it.
I work from home, and our family is an example of this. We literally got a bigger place because I knew I was going to work from home. I think that that's why the rental market is the way that it is. But from a business perspective, all this unoccupied space, it'll be fascinating to see what happens with it. No one's going back to the office now. I don't think that they ever will.
Welcome to another episode of Dental Rift. I'm your host, Gary Bird. I am the founder of SMC National, where we help you create, convert, and close more new patients for your office so you can grow.
My name is Tanner Applegate. I am the CEO and founder of Unified Dental. We are a tech stack manager for your dental office.
I love when you mess up, Tanner, because Tanner never messes up. I mess up like almost every show.
Mess up.
No, you don't. You don't. Not as much.
I'm not balancing like 6 podcasts like you are. You got to keep them straight. I don't know how you do that.
This is my third podcast in a row. I'm like I look up at the corner and I have to like read, and then when you start laughing, it totally messes me up. Well, okay. We got some banger topics today that I think are going to be really, really helpful to our audience. Number one, Apple being down and how that impacts us. And we're going to talk about a little bit about our Apple Watch experience because it's been a little bit different. And I want to share specifically how it's helped me with work. And then housing versus rental market. And that definitely impacts everybody. And then also I want to talk about how AI reduces no-shows, how we've been using AI to reduce no-shows. And so we can jump into that. So let's tackle the Apple Watch thing. So I hate Apple Watches. I've always hated them. I thought they were stupid. I thought people just wore them as like a status symbol to like, look, I have an Apple product on my wrist now. It basically was the same thing as a phone. Why would I ever get that? But I was recently convinced because a couple of my friends that I work with, they all had the Ultra Watch and they were like, I absolutely love it. And the battery life's way longer. And here's why. Here's the business applications for it and how it impacts, your overall health and business. So I got one. And so far, I've loved it. And it's really helped me level up in a couple different ways. But then I told you about it and you're like, well, I just decided to stop wearing it. So
I did.
What happened?
I mean, I couldn't find the use. Like literally the only thing that I was using it for was to, like, ding my phone when I couldn't find it, right? Like I wasn't even using it to check my time. Like I was still like pulling out my phone and I literally had a watch on my wrist. So I just was like, this is like a waste of time. I'm sick of plugging it in every night, having to charge it. I just didn't have any use for it. So I just left it charging one day and it's still sitting there on my nightstand. I haven't used it for probably a good 2 to 3 months now. So I'm curious now, what is the business use case of your Ultra that pushed you to actually start using it?
Sorry to disrupt the show, but I got something crazy to share with you. We are attempting to connect with all of our listeners. We have thousands of people that listen to this podcast, and we want to meet you in person. We have 4 events coming up, and I want to give you a discount code that you can use for the next week to save $300 off your ticket. The discount code is Gary Bird, and the link is going to be just down below. You can also go to smcnational.com/events. I hope to connect with you in person and help each other grow our businesses. Can't wait to see you soon. Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, probably the biggest one has been sleep tracking. So I wear it while I sleep. And because the Ultra battery life is longer, you can actually see the 4 different stages of your sleep. So you have awake, you have your regular like core sleep, you have your REM sleep, which is where you dream and those kind of things. And then you have your deep sleep. This is where your body goes kind of limp and your body produces hormones. So I was only getting about 15 minutes to 20 minutes of deep sleep a night. Now I'm getting about an hour of deep sleep a night. And I've really been intentional about trying to improve that number. And so that's number one. Number two is I've tracked it. I use it to track all of my working out and all of my activity, how much I'm walking, those kind of things. And then I'm competing against people. So it's helped me stay a lot more consistent in my workouts and the volume of my workouts. So I've really enjoyed that part. The other thing is I can get into my car with it. I can call from it and I can pay from it. So it has Apple Pay on it. So that means really I'm one step closer of getting rid of my phone. I hate carrying anything. And so I'm one step closer to getting rid of everything from my pocket, including a phone. So if I just want to leave the house, not bring my phone, I can totally do that. And I like that. So far that's been the use cases for me. It's been huge. Yeah, no, it's really helped me because I'm actually, before I just used to track okay, did I work out yet today? Yes or no? And did I actually did I walk today? How many miles? Now I'm tracking all my activity, calorie burn, and the sleep on it is it seems very accurate. Like it's showing me when I'm waking up, when I'm falling back to sleep, and all that kind of stuff. So that's I have way more energy because I'm sleeping better because I'm thinking about it. Last night I didn't go to bed early enough. Tonight I'm going to go to bed a little bit earlier. I'm going to make sure my room's cool enough, it's dark enough. I'm now playing with it to improve my deep sleep. So I've got my deep sleep last night. I think it was around 50 minutes to an hour. So I've tripled my deep sleep, which makes me feel amazing.
So speaking of Apple, I don't know if you saw this or not, but Apple reported their Mac shipment numbers, and they were down 40% this quarter compared to quarter of last year, which never happens for Apple. They're not down that much in one quarter. And so that was kind of fascinating. I was interested to see how much of that comes from the cutback of these tech companies who were saying like, hey, now you have a certain budget of the computer that you can buy, et cetera. They're not letting them do all of these crazy spendings whenever you get hired into your new tech company. So I was curious kind of what percentage of that impact that.
Yeah, it says I just Google searched it. Apple experienced the biggest decline among PC makers in Q1. Down 40%. Overall market shrunk 29%. So it sounds like the market shrunk, and they got hit really, really hard because they're a big
How
player
often do
in
you
that
replace your
market.
computer?
Oh, not that often. I get the Mac Mini. I have a Mac Mini. Everything I'm running on right now is a Mac Mini. I have a laptop, but I don't use it that often. It's more for like traveling and stuff like that.
I think that's probably what I do is 5 years too. And because they just did such a big refresh, I got the newest one last, or what, it was 2 years ago or last year whenever I got it, that I'm like, I'm not going to buy another one for a long time. And so I wonder if like, cause last year's was like the new M1 or M2 or whatever, that once you ship those, like it's not going to become a phone where I buy a new one every year. I hate getting a new computer.
Yeah, I hate getting a new computer too. I hate the process. It might be because of the recession and people cutting back on spending. Because to be honest with you, the use for computers is going to go down more and more and more. Like with Mac Minis and for cell phones being so powerful now, you can get a lot of stuff done on your phone. And so I think that market is going to continue to always be there, but computers may or may not be there. Like you may not need it. And I could do a lot of my job off my phone if I needed to. And so if I was in a pinch financially and it was like, yeah, my computer, I could probably use a new one, but I'll wait till next year. That might be the problem because you're dealing with, again, the market shrunk by 29%, so almost 30%. That sounds like to me it's not an Apple problem. Apple just is taking a big hit. It's the whole market's down, and probably people just isn't the time to buy a computer right now. There's just no reason to get a computer at this moment. So
that's what happens when you price yourself at the top of the market too. You're the first one to take a hit when things decrease.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, you take the biggest hit. Let's talk about. You said the housing market and is doing well, but the rental market from a business standpoint is struggling. Obviously, this really hits home for dental offices. What are you seeing there?
It was interesting to me that so the housing market, right, like residential is flat, right? It's up maybe a couple percent, and there's projected that it's still going to increase nationally up like 3%. And so that was kind of interesting to me, not really surprising. What was surprising to me was that the occupancy rate of business rental units, right, where you go and rent things out as a business, office space, retail, et cetera, it's at its lowest that it's ever been. And that it continues to decline because there's a lot of tenants that are currently in a lease that are refusing to renew. And so this is indicating more and more of this work from home situation, right? Where now, because I work from home and our family is an example of this, we literally got a bigger place because I knew I was going to work from home. Right. And so I think that's why the rental market is the way that it is. But from a business perspective, all this unoccupied space, it'll be fascinating to see what happens with it. I don't think that if no one's going back into the office now, I don't think that they ever will.
Yeah, I know a lot of the bigger companies are starting to push people to work back into the offices, but I know that's not the space that we're referring to here. We're talking about more probably small businesses that are impacted by this. And I'm totally with you. I'm very, very curious of what's going to happen here. What I could see happening is people repurposing this space more like a commercial use of like or like a industrial use, and not in the traditional sense, but like if you have a bunch of product that you need to package and things like that, that commercial space will be repurposed to do something. Now you don't get as high of a rent on it because these storefronts and things like that usually get a premium payment because of their location, but there's just no reason to have that. And I'm seeing that more and more in Southern California, where we have all these ghost kitchens and churches and all these different kinds of businesses that are going into these industrial spaces because the rent's so much cheaper. And that's a very interesting play. And people can Google now, and you're not getting their traffic from people driving by anyway. So why not go into a less foot traffic location? And that's going to continue to put pressure on these commercial buildings. So it's very interesting.
I always, because I knew that those big tech companies were pushing for the come back into office. And my assumption was the smaller businesses were going to follow suit. But it seems like that's not what's happening. The smaller businesses aren't following suit. And I think that it is an expense measure, right? Like if I don't have to pay for this space because people aren't coming into it, then I'm not going to.
All right. So we're having some technical difficulties. I don't know if the editors, if you want to work that in or not. So we're going to wrap it up early. But tune in next time. We're going to be discussing how we've been using AI to reduce no-shows in the offices. You're not going to want to miss that one. Stay tuned.